The rain was pouring down in heavy sheets that day, in Houston, Texas. Elizabeth Cohn was caught in the storm, holding an umbrella in her left hand. She gripped it high on the shaft, her wedding ring brushing against the metal. Suddenly a strange chill filled the air, almost like static electricity prickling the skin. In that split second, Elizabeth realized she should let go of the umbrella, but before she could act, a massive bolt of lightning struck the top of it. She turned her head slightly to the right and saw a crumpled heap on the ground. A wave of shock washed over her as she understood. Oh my goodness, that's Elizabeth. That's her body. There she lay, in a greasy puddle in the parking lot. In her mind, she urged herself to get up, repeating, "Get up, get up." But then the harsh reality hit her. She wasn't getting up. She was gone. She was dead. As soon as Elizabeth came to this realization, a light appeared before her. It wasn't just any light. It pulsed with life, seeming almost conscious. It beckoned her to follow, as if it had a purpose for her. This light led Elizabeth to a place she later described as a garden, though it wasn't a garden like anything on earth. Words fail to capture the beauty and perfection of that place. It was heaven, a realm of pure peace and wonder. There, she saw an ornate bench, breathtaking in its design, and a voice instructed her to sit. That voice belonged to her grandfather, who had passed away a year earlier. When a loved one who has crossed over tells you to sit, you don't argue. Elizabeth sat, and as she did, the bench seemed to transform around her. An overwhelming, all-encompassing sense of unconditional love enveloped her. She felt as though she had come home, to a place where she truly belonged. Elizabeth's name is Elizabeth Cohn, and she hails from Houston, Texas. Her childhood was what many would call ideal, a life filled with warmth and family. She grew up with 2 younger sisters, and her father ran a dental practice. Her grandparents lived close by, and she shared a deep bond with them. It was the kind of upbringing one hopes to give their own children, stable, loving, and full of cherished memories. Her family raised her in the Jewish faith, specifically as Reform Jews, which she often described as a lighter, less strict version of Judaism. Elizabeth went on to finish high school and earn an undergraduate degree. She married and started law school, a path that suited her black and white way of thinking. Law, to her, was clear-cut, right or wrong, no gray areas. That structure appealed to her logical mind. When Elizabeth began law school, she and her husband already had their first child. Balancing motherhood and studies was no easy feat, and things grew even more challenging when she became pregnant with her second child. She was forced to go on extended bed rest, which ultimately put an end to her law school journey. Life, as it often does, threw unexpected hurdles her way, but Elizabeth pressed on, determined to care for her young family. On the day of the incident, her husband was out of town on a business trip. It marked the first anniversary of her grandfather's passing, a significant day for her family. They were all set to attend a service at the synagogue, where her grandfather's name would be read aloud in remembrance. Elizabeth's 2 boys, aged 2 and 4, were with her. She dressed them up in tiny suits and bow ties, making sure they looked their best for the occasion. The day had started bright and sunny, but out of nowhere, a dark rain cloud loomed overhead as they drove to the synagogue. It felt as though the storm was hovering directly over their car. As they pulled into the parking lot, the rain came down in torrents. Elizabeth didn't want to wait in the car for the storm to pass, fearing they might miss the reading of her grandfather's name. She decided they would brave the rain, even if it meant getting soaked. Turning to her 4-year-old Jeremy, she instructed him to run to the awning over the door and wait there. Then she climbed over the seat to unstrap her 2-year-old Andy from his car seat. Holding Andy in one arm, she grabbed the umbrella with the other, but quickly realized she couldn't manage both the child and the umbrella in the downpour. So, she set Andy down, took his hand, and held the umbrella high in her left hand, her wedding ring touching the metal shaft as they began to walk toward the building. That's when the air shifted. A chilling sensation, like static electricity, surrounded them. Elizabeth glanced at her hand, realizing how foolish it was to hold the umbrella that way. The thought crossed her mind to let go, to drop the umbrella right then and there. But before she could, a powerful bolt of lightning struck the top of the umbrella with a deafening crack. Andy, her 2-year-old, started screaming, his small hands pressed against his ears. Elizabeth saw Jeremy, her older son, running back toward them despite her earlier instructions to stay by the door. Anger and confusion swirled within her. Why wasn't he listening? She watched as Jeremy grabbed his little brother and pulled him toward the synagogue's entrance. The entire scene felt surreal, disorienting, as if reality itself had slipped out of focus. Elizabeth followed her boys to the building, watching as they reached the door and went inside. Now, all 3 of them stood in the lobby of the synagogue. A man, someone familiar to the family, walked by, likely returning from the restroom to the service. Seeing the boys in distress, he approached them, speaking to calm them down. But Elizabeth couldn't understand why he ignored her. She was standing right there, yet he wouldn't even glance her way. Nothing felt right. Everything seemed off, like a puzzle with missing pieces. The man went back into the service area and called out, "We need a doctor." The rabbi halted the service, and soon, nearly 40 men, many likely doctors given the synagogue's proximity to the Texas Medical Center, rushed toward the back of the room to help. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's thoughts drifted to her umbrella. It was new, and she wondered where it had gone. Then she spotted it, or what was left of it. The umbrella was reduced to a skeletal frame, still smoking from the lightning strike. Her gaze shifted slightly to the right, and that's when she saw the heap on the ground again. It was her, Elizabeth's own body, lying there in the parking lot. She noticed her feet sticking out from a new pair of shoes she had worn that day, and a pang of frustration hit her about the ruined footwear. The only problem? Her feet weren't touching the ground. She was hovering a few centimeters above the floor. Confusion and disbelief overwhelmed her. Elizabeth had always been a skeptic, dismissing anything beyond the tangible world. Yet here she was, floating above herself, grappling with the impossible. From this out-of-body perspective, Elizabeth saw her physical form lying in that greasy puddle outside. She willed herself to rise, to move, repeating in her mind, "Get up, get up." But the truth sank in. She wasn't getting up. She was no longer in that body. She was dead. The moment this realization struck, the pulsing light appeared, alive and aware, urging her to follow. It guided her to that indescribable garden, a place of perfection beyond earthly comprehension. It was heaven, a sanctuary of serenity. There, on that beautiful bench, she sat as her grandfather's voice spoke to her, though she later believed it wasn't truly him, but a higher presence. Perhaps God, using a familiar voice to comfort her. The love she felt there was unlike anything she had ever known, even as a mother. It was deeper, more profound, a love without conditions or limits. In that heavenly place, Elizabeth saw others in the distance, all appearing young, healthy, and flawless. Each person seemed paired with a guide, ensuring no one navigated this realm alone. Yet she understood that everyone experienced their own version of heaven, tailored to their essence. Her grandfather's voice, or the presence speaking through it, told her it would no longer speak aloud. Instead, information flowed directly into her mind. Questions raced through her thoughts, and answers came instantly, like a rapid download of knowledge. They discussed complex topics like quantum physics, which she grasped fully in that moment, though back on Earth, such concepts remained beyond her understanding. It was as if life in the physical world was murky, heavy like pea soup, compared to the clarity of that other realm. Much of the conversation centered on her family and her future. The voice offered her a choice. She could stay in that perfect place or return to her life on Earth. To the right, a stunning path led to a mountain range, a journey she would take if she chose to remain. Everything in that garden was flawless. Every need was met before she could even ask. Why would she go back? The voice explained that she had more to accomplish in her earthly life. It revealed she would have a third child, a girl, who had already chosen Elizabeth and her husband as her parents. The choice was clear. She could return now, 28 years into her life, and finish what she started, or begin anew. That made the decision easy for Elizabeth. She needed to go back and complete her journey. The voice warned her that returning would be painful. The lightning had burned her body, and re-entering it would feel constricting, as if every bone in her body was being crushed. Elizabeth acknowledged this, looking at her hand in that heavenly place. It bore no ring, no burns, and appeared as youthful as if she were 18 again. Everything was perfect there. Then, in an instant, she felt the crushing tightness the voice had described. Every bone seemed to break under the pressure. When she opened her eyes, she was back, lying in the rain in the parking lot. People were just beginning to rush out to help her. She had returned. Elizabeth knew exactly what had happened, her mind sharp despite the ordeal. She even cautioned herself not to speak of it, fearing others would mock her or call her crazy. She was helped into the building, where a doctor, an electrocution specialist who worked at Methodist Hospital in Houston, was present. He examined her, listening to her heart, and noted that taking her to the hospital would only result in him being called anyway. He advised treatment for her burns, which she later received. For the next 3 months, Elizabeth remained bedridden, her feet badly burned from the lightning exiting her body. Scars remain on her feet as a permanent reminder of that day. At the time, Elizabeth had never heard of a near-death experience. The term was foreign to her, and she knew nothing of such phenomena. She thought she was undergoing some kind of spiritual crisis, unable to make sense of her experience. Desperate for guidance, she sought out clergy, speaking to several rabbis. As a Jewish woman, she hoped they would listen, but they weren't equipped to handle her story. Their responses were kind but dismissive, a gentle pat on the head with reassurances that she'd be fine. She confided in her husband and her mother. Her mother was captivated, asking countless questions and fully believing her account. Her husband, however, laughed it off, insisting she had dreamt it or was losing her grip on reality. Their marriage lasted another 9 years, and true to the vision in the garden, they welcomed a third child, a girl. This near-death experience profoundly changed Elizabeth. It reshaped her views on life, death, and spirituality. Knowing that death isn't the end altered everything for her. She became a different person, far more spiritual than the rigid black-and-white thinker she once was. Before, she had dismissed the idea of life after death, believing that when you die, it's over, lights out, end of story. But now, she knows consciousness survives. Her perspective shifted entirely. In September of 2022, Elizabeth's mother passed away, a heartbreaking loss for her family. The following month, during local elections in Houston, Elizabeth went to a community college to vote. In the parking lot, volunteers in t-shirts approached her. One woman asked if she was there to vote or for a class. Elizabeth replied she was voting, and the woman directed her to the right door. As they walked, Elizabeth felt annoyed. She was grieving her mother's death and wasn't in the mood for small talk. After spending about an hour and a half inside, she emerged to find the same woman waiting. The volunteer congratulated her on fulfilling her civic duty, then asked, "Where's the other woman?" Confused, Elizabeth said she came alone. The woman insisted, describing an older woman in a blue and green blouse with big decorative buttons. Elizabeth's heart raced. She had to leave. She got into her car quickly. Her mother was buried in a blue and green blouse with 3 large decorative buttons. The old Elizabeth would have scoffed at such a story, but now she believes in communication from the other side. Living as a human on Earth, Elizabeth often reflects, is a challenging experience. She feels everyone deserves recognition for choosing to be here, for it's no easy task. What sustains her through life's struggles is the certainty that she will return home one day, to that place of unconditional love. She no longer fears death, though she hopes it's far off. She wants to see her grandchildren grow up. Recently, while speaking with her 5-year-old granddaughter, the child asked, "How old are you, Grandma?" Elizabeth told her, and the little girl exclaimed, "Wow, that's really old." Elizabeth laughed, agreeing. The child then asked how old she wanted to live to be. Elizabeth replied she wanted to live long enough to see her granddaughter grow up, marry, and have children of her own. The girl calculated that would make Elizabeth about 100 years old. Smiling, Elizabeth said that however old she gets to be, it's wonderful because it means more time with her loved ones. For her, life is about the people you share it with and finding happiness in what you do. That, she believes, is more than enough.